Hello everyone and welcome to my December wrap up. So December was a pretty good reading month for me. I had some time off, so I had a little bit more time to read, and I did manage to reach my 100 books of 2016 goal, which obviously I was really happy about. So in December I managed to read 10 books, 6 of them I gave 4 stars to and 4 of them I gave 5 stars to. So the first book I gave 4 stars to was Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. This is the third and final book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children trilogy, and I actually buddy read this with Steve over at the Lawn Gnome, whose YouTube channel I will link in the description down below. Please check him out because he's a lovely, awesome guy. So I'd waited quite a long time to read this book, but I can happily say that I was not disappointed in the conclusion. I think as a book on its own I do prefer the other 2 books in this series, but it was still a very satisfactory conclusion. I remember thinking towards the end that I was thinking, oh god no, please don't let it end like this, and then at the very end it did finally redeem itself. I'm not going to talk too much about the plot of this book obviously because it's the last in the series and I don't want to spoil the other 2 books for anyone that hasn't read them, but if you have read the other 2 books in this series I really urge you to finish it as soon as possible because I don't think you will be disappointed. Another book I gave 4 stars to this month is Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. This is about the last woman who was executed in Iceland, and I actually read this while I was in Iceland, which I think it gave it that little bit more of an edge. It was certainly very haunting and atmospheric to read it in the place that it was set. This is historical literary fiction, so if you like historical fiction written beautifully, if you really appreciate beautiful writing styles and things like that, I think Burial Rites might be for you. It's about a woman who has been convicted of murdering her employer, and basically it is about the family who take her in while she is waiting to be executed. So it's a tale of obviously love and heartbreak and betrayal and truth and lies, and she does have a certain likability to her, I found anyway, and I was kind of thinking, okay, why do I like this woman who has done this terrible crime? So if you like literary fiction that kind of leaves you guessing and leaves you thinking, then Burial Rites is certainly a great choice for you. Another book I gave 4 stars to was A Gift from Bob by James Bowen. This is about the last Christmas that James Bowen spent on the streets of London before his first book, A Street Cat Named Bob, was published. So there is a lot of stuff about how hard it is to have money struggles and to be on the streets at Christmas. So there was that kind of sad, humbling kind of element to it, but it was also a very heartwarming tale of how one cat can change one man's life. So I absolutely love the whole true story of James and Bob, so I really loved this little Christmassy book this month too. The next 2 books, and I'm going to talk about them together, are by the same author, and I gave both of them 4 stars, and that is A Boy Called Christmas and The Girl Who Saved Christmas, both by Matt Haig. A Boy Called Christmas is about the story of Father Christmas. Obviously it talks about a little boy called Nicholas and how he became Father Christmas, about how he met the elves and became the man we know him as today. It's got these gorgeous illustrations in. Matt Haig's wonderful sense of humour is littered all over it as well, so although it is a middle grade Christmas book, I think adults will appreciate the awesome humour and the awesome style of it as well. So yeah, a really lovely little Christmassy book. And then The Girl Who Saved Christmas is the follow-up to it, and this is about a little girl called Amelia who is living as a chimney sweep in Victorian London, and it's all about how her belief in the magic of Christmas helped to save it one year when it was in trouble because no one was believing in it. So again, this has some illustrations in it as well, a lovely quirky style. I love the style of these illustrations, and yeah, a very magical, funny children's book, but a book that I think a lot of adults will appreciate as well. And the last book that I gave 4 stars to this month is actually a book that's coming out in January. I was very lucky to get a early ebook copy of it on NetGalley, and that is The One Memory of Flora Banks by Emily Barr. This is a YA contemporary about a girl who has lost her short-term memory due to something that happened when she was 10 years old. She can remember a lot of things from before she was 10, but she finds it hard to make any new memories, but she does have this one memory of kissing her best friend girlfriend's boyfriend, and she holds on to this memory with the hope that she will start to remember other things. And she goes on a journey because he is going away. She goes on a journey to find him. It's a really, really heartwarming story, very tragic at the same time. If you've read Everything by Nicola Yoon, it's got that kind of same themes, very similar themes to that book. So yeah, I did actually write a full review of this book, so if it does sound like your sort of thing, maybe give my review a read to read all my deeper thoughts and feelings on it. Now onto the books that I gave 5 stars to. The first book I gave 5 stars to was The 12 Days of Dash and Lily by Rachel Cohen and David Levithan. This is the sequel to Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, which I read a couple of years ago. This is a Christmassy YA contemporary that was really, really funny. I absolutely love David Levithan's humour. If you haven't read his books, I really, really urge you to, because he's just hilarious. And this basically is about Dash and Lily have been together for a year, and Lily is struggling to find her love of Christmas this year, and Dash takes it upon himself to reignite Lily's love of Christmas. So it's all about how your loved ones can help you reignite your happiness and your belief in magic and things like that. It was a really, really lovely little YA contemporary to read this month. Another Christmassy book that I gave 5 stars to was The Christmas Saurus by Tom Fletcher. Again, this is a children's book, but it's a book that I think a lot of adults will love as well. It's about a little boy called William who doesn't have the best background. He's quite a lonely soul, but he loves dinosaurs, and the Christmas Saurus is also quite a lonely soul. He lives in the North Pole with Santa and the elves, but he does feel a little bit lost, and then the Christmas Saurus shows up in William's bedroom one Christmas Eve, and they become friends. They find happiness with each other, and they go on an adventure to the North Pole. Tom Fletcher is hilarious. I love him. So his style was one of the main reasons I absolutely love this book, and it does also have some quirky illustrations in it again. Really, really lovely little Christmassy magical tale that I really, really enjoyed. So if you didn't read this Christmas, put it on your list for next Christmas, definitely. Another book that I gave 5 stars to this month, and I was so happy that I could give this book 5 stars, is The Fate of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. This is the third and final book in the Tearling trilogy. It's a YA fantasy trilogy. I say it's YA, but I think it's probably more suited to upper YA, so sort of late teens and into your 20s type age. But really, I think loads of people would really, really love the Tearling trilogy. This was a very fast-paced, emotional ending. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about the plot for fear of spoiling the other 2 books, but a lot of secrets were revealed, a lot of things were tied up, a lot of blood, a lot of violence, as you can expect with a fantasy. It is a little bit, I would say it's probably a great cross between Throne of Glass and Game of Thrones, that kind of thing. So it is certainly a crossover book between YA and adult fantasy, so if you are kind of looking for a book like that, I really recommend the Tearling trilogy. But yeah, I was really, really happy and sad that this trilogy is over, but a really, really great conclusion. So if you have read the first 2 books, definitely pick this up as soon as you can. And the last book that I gave 5 stars to this month is another book that is coming out in January next year, and that is Caravelle by Stephanie Garber. I gave it 5 stars. It was amazing. It just left me guessing all of the time. Basically, this is about 2 sisters, Scarlett and Tella, who live on an island. They have an abusive father, but they have an obsession with this kind of game performance type thing called Caravelle that happens every year. And basically you don't really know what's real and what's fake, and this year they are both taken into this game and they become basically the centerpieces of this game, and they become completely enthralled with it. There's a romance that I absolutely loved. I did write a full review of this as well, so if it sounds like your sort of thing, certainly check out my review to read all my deeper thoughts and feelings on it. But it was so exciting, really, really loved it, and I can't wait for it to come out so that a lot of you guys can read it too. And that is it for my December wrap up. What books did you read this month? I would love to know. I haven't quite figured out my January TBR yet, and I am planning on doing a little readathon at the very start of January, so I will have a TBR for that readathon up before my official January TBR, I think. So stay tuned for that. This is obviously the last video I'm going to put up before the new year, so I'm going to wish you all a very, very happy new year, and I will see you very early in 2017. Bye bye.